All right, welcome to the very first episode of the Shadow Realm. We're going to talk about all things MMA, not just UFC, although I think for the most part this episode will just be UFC, not just breakdowns, which is what you see myself and these guys do a lot of times. Just going to, sit down, chop it up about mixed martial arts and this crazy sport that we love. I guess I'm your host / moderator, although there really is no host. We're just gonna have fun doing these. Go by Sniper _ MMA. With me, MM down there, Magic Mike. Find him on Twitter at ConsortiumDFS. And up right next to me is at RBCues. They both do the expert rankings with me on MMA Play 365, which is DFS content. But I'm not even going to plug that so much. That's where you might know these guys before, other than the top of the DraftKings leaderboards. Guys, thanks for doing this with me. I'm looking forward to doing something that's not DraftKings or fantasy specific. Not that I don't enjoy them, but this is different. Should be fun.
Yeah, really looking forward to doing something different.
I was a host fail. 1 minute in, I didn't really kick it to anybody specific. You know what? I'll start with this. I met Mike in MSG, but I think otherwise, this is the first time you put your face kind of out there.
Yeah, I never really put my face anywhere. I did a couple TikTok videos to give some bet picks, but other than that, just staying behind a animated profile picture on Twitter.
Well, welcome to YouTube, and now people can see who you are, and just you get DMs like me, you're an ugly piece of shit. And I've got actually a handful of those. It's really people are wild.
I'm looking forward.
Wild. RBCues, how you doing, man? We had you on Fight IQ. It's how we met, and excited to be chopping it up.
Yeah, I'm doing great, and I'm excited to be here with you guys. This is really helpful to me to do, particularly on a Sunday night, because oftentimes I'm still like in a poor emotional state coming off these cards from one bad break or the other. And in this card, man, that decision that they gave to Sean O'Malley was a drastic swing. So I'm happy to just be forward-looking and talk about whatever other than that.
Yeah, we're going to get there. Don't worry. We'll start with the recap of the prior event. You guys might have to listen to us bitch for a little while. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're going to host these Sniper MMA. Also going to post these on iTunes, all the podcast things under the Shadow Realm. Give that a subscribe and 5-star rating when you see them. We're going to record these Sunday night. That'll probably be when the YouTube video drops and the audio stuff on Monday. That being said, let's obviously we got to start with UFC 280. We'll get to RBQ's, all the O'Malley-Yan decision, but let's start with the main event. Let's start with how clearly Father's plan is stronger than the champ has a name, because the champ does have a name, and it's Islam Makhachev. Can you, looking back on it, I picked Islam in this fight. And I still was like, yeah, there's past victory for Oliveira. Tons of people picked Oliveira. Why were we all doing that again? Can anybody remind me? What were we thinking?
Who wants to go first?
Did either of you pick Oliveira?
Yeah, so my 5-5-5 entry was it was an Oliveira lineup. And I was sitting nicely in the cash line before that last fight. But I don't know. I've been picking against Oliveira in his other fights, and he keeps getting dropped and finding a way to come back. But that was smooth on the ground. Once he got him hurt, Makhachev was just right on top of him. At that fight, they do it again, minus 400 if that ever happens. I don't think Oliveira has a chance in that matchup ever again. No.
Nobody. RB, did you think that Makhachev would hurt Oliveira on the feet? Even I was like, what just happened?
I didn't think so. I had quite a few sharp people attempting to convince me otherwise, saying that they thought that Makhachev should be a minus 350, minus 400 favorite in this fight, maybe even more, and that he would prove it. And I just couldn't project it. I mean, we had seen some pretty fantastic performances out of Charles. He looked improved. He looked like he sort of, kicked that quitter's attitude thing to the curb. And it was really hard to beat up. Yeah, I mean, it was hard. It was just hard for me to project Makhachev completely dominating him. That's what I saw. was I thought the physicality of Makhachev was a big deal in this fight. Whenever they were tied up, I think he just kind of beasted them in one position and went to work. And like, that was one thing I don't think I accounted for appropriately in breaking down the fight at all. I didn't see him just completely mauling him like a bear. And after the first round, it was hard to imagine any success for Oliveira. And when the fight ended quickly in the second, yes, I was shocked he knocked him down. But Charles runs forward recklessly and he gets clipped. And so we've seen that many times. And, I wasn't that shocked by the submission at that point. I was like, well, I don't think this is going 25 minutes. He looks dominant. So, yeah, and I don't really want to see that fight again.
No.
I can't imagine it going differently.
We have the fight we do have to look forward to is Volkanovski and Makhachev. And it's fun. Volkanovski deserves a shot. He's run through his division. He said that his division's holding him up. I kind of agree with him. We won't go into featherweight on this episode, but I kind of think Islam smashes him. Is that going to be competitive?
I don't think so. I think the wrestling's too much. But I saw early line was about -400. I think that's about right. And Volkanovski's been so dominant in all of his fights, so I don't want to put it past him to come out here and do something, but I'm not going to be picking him.
Nah, if Ortega's got you on the ground, what is Islam going to? Islam he might not finish him, but he might be mauling for 5 rounds.
Yeah.
The very first thing that came to mind for me when I was watching all that unfold after the fight was kind of the purple-faced Volkanovski on the floor on the mat against Ortega, like gargling. And I just was like, yeah, I don't think that's going to be a competitive fight. Recency bias aside, who can beat that guy? Who's going to beat that guy right now?
I really have no idea. The last thing I'll say about this fight is, can we stop? I don't hear anybody calling Makhachev a boring champion, because then you just hate wrestling, because he's got 5 consecutive finishes, including how many in the first round? 2 first-round finishes and Oliveira in the second round. He's got a ton of finishes in the UFC. Can we get past that he's boring at this point? It's weird to me.
He's boring because it's just not competitive fights. It's not because what he's doing isn't great. It's just there's no resistance.
Yeah. We haven't seen him pressed. I mean, we saw him go 4 rounds with Thiago Moises. And
Adriano Martins beat him.
Well, yeah, okay, all right. Well, that's a great point. And yesterday
it's not a good point.
I can't remember. That has been completely cast from my memory based on what I've seen as of late. So, and to say he's boring is to ignore the state of MMA today. It's just not, this is, you can win. There's a path to being completely dominant this way. And he's trained by the best. He's been training his whole life for this. He's the champ.
Yep. All right. I think we'll go to the co-main event now. And that, obviously, I have a lot to say about this one because of how it played out, and not in the pick. It's Aljamain Sterling beat TJ Dillashaw, and I don't even want to go into. I think it's only been a day, and we could talk about everyone saying, well, TJ Dillashaw, the ringside physician, the pre-medicals. What are we doing if he's got his arm is out and he's still going to fight? I don't hear anybody blaming Aljo, but I think I'm already sick of the ringside physician stuff. You guys can bring it up if you want. I want to skip past it. What actually bothers me is, and TJ kind of said it, yeah, I feel bad. I held up the division. Yet, look, I had a chance to meet TJ Dillashaw, and this may not be fair. I kind of just inside an elevator at an arena once and heard him, overheard him talking, and then it was a fan event. I saw him at the fan event too. Look, my opinion, I said it before, TJ Dillashaw is an asshole. and I have no problem by him. Like, he's a dick, and this is a dick move. Like, his shoulder keeps popping out. You're clearly holding up the division, and he's going on I had a chance to change my life, similar to the Henry Cejudo thing. I think it's just selfish. It's pure selfishness. It's paycheck. It's a paycheck. Maybe like you don't no respect for. And in the end, I actually think he's doing himself a disservice. Yeah, it's bad if you pull out of the fight. You'll get the shot again. But he wanted this shot. It had to be now. He's just that selfish asshole type of guy. And instead, we've wasted months and months and months. Like, this didn't just happen. This was an ongoing thing we found out. And you have Marlon Vera who's charging up the rankings. There's plenty of fights we could have made. Really, it probably is. You cost us 8 months in this bantamweight division. It's probably going to be Marlon Vera. It could have been, or if TJ pulls out towards the last second, you robbed us of, probably Sean O'Malley and Aljamain Sterling. Which really, we'll get to the next fight in a second. It's so selfish, and I already had my opinions on TJ being a miserable dick of a human that it just. Everything about the co-main event bothered me, aside from, people are going to be able to continually discredit Aljamain Sterling. It's not his fault. I get he's cringe, and he does no favors for himself when he gets near a microphone. Like, I don't know what it is, but it goes so poorly. So overall, but I blame TJ Dillashaw. I'm pretty disgusted with how the whole co-main event thing played out. Mike, what are your thoughts on that shit show?
So, I mean, TJ just has no accountability. He seems just like a trash human. Well, maybe not. Maybe that's harsh, but
I'll go there. I'll say it.
Yeah, but
my opinion.
He held up the division. One thing I'm confused about is why was Volk there to weigh in as a backup for 155, and you don't have someone there as a backup for 135. I don't know if it would have made a difference, but
because
at least you could have saved
it. You had O'Malley and Jan. I think the thought was one of them would step up.
Yeah, I'd heard that. That's not. I feel like that's not fair to the other fighter in those fights. I'd rather have someone who's not on the card who deserves a shot. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I think Aljo, but I don't know. I still like him, but he was even getting booed at the event on Long Island. He was there, and he was booed on Long Island in his hometown. Like, I don't know why nobody likes him, but
he's so cringe, I like him. Again, same thing. I've had the privilege, I'm a Long Island guy. Mike, you're from the area too. So every time they're at Nassau Coliseum, or I think you go, and usually Aljamain's there, and I'm a sucker, and I pay for some of the fan experiences. And I've met some of these guys. Now, granted, when I say met, I don't want to sound like I'm just not rubbing shoulders with these guys. I'm just kind of you're around them. I get a sense Aljamain Sterling's a decent person, a decent guy, but near a microphone, even I'm like, shut the fuck up, please. And he can't. I can't tell now if he's leaning into Colby Covington. Like, this is how I got to get attention. Like, that could be it. RBCues, what do you think?
He can't. He's one of those like diarrhea mouth guys. He can't help himself. You give him a microphone, and it's just like blah, blah, bad nicknames. Blah, 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 my rap career. Blah, blah, like I think he gets nervous or he's insecure or something. I don't know. And it's just a bummer to have to continue to watch him because I think at some point he's going to get his ass kicked, and I would rather it be sooner. Ultimately, as far as the TJ thing is concerned, I have his fighter pay at $110K. The win bonus would have been an extra $100K. For some reason, I'm seeing that like there's no pay-per-view share for him. I don't know. Maybe what I'm looking at is inaccurate, but regardless. Like, is it life-changing money for him at that point? I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sold. Like, I just think he's selfish, and I think he wanted the opportunity, he wanted the attention, he wanted the headline, and and he's just a piece of crap. I think it's that. I don't think it's. Is the money that much that it's like a huge delta for him? Maybe it is. I don't know, but
Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right, let's talk about Sean O'Malley, Peter Yan in this decision. I had the fight 2-1. A lot of people had 3-0. every media member had it 2-1 or 3-0, all for Peter Yan. And Sean O'Malley won a split decision. It was pretty wild. I don't know how it happened. I guess damage. I get it. Just weird. What's interesting though is that there are some people who said, O'Malley was robbed. Yan got round 3, or O'Malley got round 3 only, and Yan was robbed. Other people, O'Malley was robbed. Yan was robbed. O'Malley clearly got round 1. I'm like, well, if those are 2 separate camps, was it really? It's round 1 was just it was the knockdown, but didn't Peter Yan get it right back? Like immediately got it right back. That was round 1, and round 3, Yan was leaking, but I don't know. I felt like he did. I gave O'Malley round 3, but it was one of those. It was almost, and I haven't rewatched it since. It was almost an afterthought. Like, yeah, it was close. I'll probably give it to O'Malley. It doesn't really matter because my card was already, 2018. But I could see an argument for it. I don't know what happened. The only good thing that comes of it is we don't get in this Davison Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno situation at 135 where you go, do we have to do Yan Aljo again? Thankfully, that's the only positive. But did anybody have this fight for Yan or have a better? I mean, I don't get it. Not to rub salt in your wound, RBCues, because I know you said it cost you a lot of money, but I don't get it.
I'll take it first, and I'll try to keep it brief because this is a topic I could ramble on because of how heated I am over it. But Petr Yan is just not a great round winner, I don't think. Something about the way he fights, when he's trying to figure out your timing, something about the way he boxes. I feel like he sets himself up for some objectivity and for some dependency on the optics. And I think that O'Malley hit him clean a bunch of times, opened him up. He looked like a bloody mess. And optically, it looked kind of bad. And I think that played out in those marginal rounds. And what I had on, from my, amateur perspective as a judge, because I do think sometimes we rip into these judges without like being fully qualified to understand how they're supposed to score these fights and how they're trained. But that said, it's pretty loud when you go to MMA decisions and you see like everyone and their mother picked Yan. Like that's got to say something. I had round 1 for Yan, right? Or who had the clear round 2? Who won round 2 clearly?
Yeah, had 2 clear.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was either 30-27 or 29-28, and so I look back. I look back at the fight, and I see big moments for Sean that potentially could have appeared as being closer to ending the fight. I know that's like a key piece of criteria that they look at, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're looking for moments that bring the fight closer to a finish. And I think that wound up speaking loudly to the judges at the end of the day. And I think Yan could have done more to be more clearly the winner. And in round 3, you could argue he wins the fight with the takedown and finishes on top, but it just wasn't enough, man. It wasn't enough to. You look at Sean O'Malley's face at the end of the fight; he's not really that damaged. So, I've gone back and forth on this, and maybe I'm feeling less sorry for myself, is what I'm trying to say.
I think you're just coping. Mike, what's your thoughts on this fight?
I mean, Yan winning 2, I don't think we can debate that. When I was watching it live, I thought kind of 1 and 3 were close, but I thought 29-28 either way or 30-27 Yan are the only cards that could come out. I mean, those are what we got, but I really thought Yan was going to get at least 2 of the 3 judges. The knee in round 3 was the best shot that landed. It cut Yan open. And Yan was getting takedowns. He got 6 takedowns, 6 minutes of control time, but he landed 6 ground strikes. You can't submission attempt. So he was never really threatening. But
why are we just because? Sorry to interrupt, but you can keep going. But why? I feel like it just sparked in my head. We've gone such. Used to be you could lay and pray, and grappling was like a bit overemphasized in the minds of judges. Like you could just lay there, and then I feel like we've had this massive overcorrection where it doesn't matter at all. Like grappling 6 minutes, he was controlled for 6 minutes. Now, granted, a lot of people don't like grappling, but then go watch boxing. Get the hell out of my sport. Like I think we've overcorrected.
Yeah, I mean, there've been fights where I'm like, oh, that stuff doesn't matter. Like we shouldn't be judging that control time that's happening. But this fight, I thought it was meaningful because the rounds were so close. So if I have you against the cage or on the ground for 2 out of 5 minutes in a round, and the striking's pretty close, I thought Jan was going to win those rounds. But I don't know. I hope judges in the future don't score just laying on top of somebody and not really doing anything. But I didn't think this was the spot for it.
There's some medium like the way Joe Rogan has put it before is like, if you tap, it's the equivalent of you were gonna die. Like you're in a fight for your life, pretty much. You getting choked, you tap out. If you don't personally let go of it, you're gonna die. So I would think that so my mind is okay, a close submission, a rear naked choke that is close should count as a knockdown. Like the fight was almost done, but I think we've corrected away from that. I don't know. It's something I'm passionate about because I like the grappling part of the sport like a lot. But
makes it a chess match, every time out. Especially when you get those great striker versus grappler matches. So I agree with you.
All right, let's talk Beneil Dariush, Mateusz Gamrot. I think we're not going to go with every fight full kind of breakdowns because they're going to get less meaningful along the way. To me, my takeaway from this was, and it's been said before, but I could not believe it because Beneil Dariush is a great fighter. I like him. It's not that I don't have God or any of that stuff. It's just, to me, that type of stuff. You say whatever you want. It's just not. It's not appealing to me. And fine. But if you're going to do it, and that's you, I have no problem. It's your time in the microphone. But can you believe he stood in the middle of Ethiad in front of a 99.9% Muslim crowd and preached the name of Jesus Christ? I was, and when he won, as a fan who follows, I know that's what Beneil does. And that was my first thought is he going to do this? Is he going to do this? And the way he was leading into it, I was like, he's going to say something about just having God, it seemed kind of generic leading up to it. And then he went for it. And it was just, my mouth was jaw was in the ground. I had to get ready to leave for family event. I had to watch the co-main and main. Thankfully pay-per-views are good for some time. And I went back and watched it, but I was getting ready to leave. And I'm like, I can't believe he did that. Was anybody else taken back like I was, Mike?
Yeah. I mean, first off, the result, I didn't have him picked as a winner for that fight, but more power to him. But the stones on that guy to go up there and just start preaching about Jesus in that spot, I couldn't believe he was doing it.
RBCues, did you have him picked, and were you yelling, yeah, Benny, whatever you want to say, go for it.
I had Gamrot for the win. I had a ton of exposure to Dariush on DraftKings, so you can make of that what you will. But someone said that Dariush should have won Fight of the Night bonus for his statement to that crowd. For the Stones. I mean, as far as the fight is concerned, if we're ready to talk about that, I mean, he was clearly jacked up. He's got a lot of confidence in himself, so he was feeling himself up there. What he did, that was a really awesome performance for not having fought in a while and knocking off a really, really impressive fighter in Gamrot, who had put a great show on against Sarukian, and Sarukian is no pushover. I mean, that was some high-level stuff that we watched. That was not the most exciting. I mean, you could argue depending on what your flavor is, but I enjoyed that fight.
I love the crazy
more than any other fight on the card, just how high level it is. Watching these two go at it for position, it was pretty cool. So major props to Dariush for coming in there and putting on that display against Gamrot. I guess they're going to make Dariush Oliveira now, probably. Is that the chalk?
Dariush Oliveira. I don't want to see that. I mean,
I don't want to see it either, but it just makes sense.
I mean, no, Dariush against the winner of Chandler Poirier. That's what I want.
I'm certainly down for that.
That's my.
What do they do with Charles? Does he get something?
Fiziev.
Yeah, I was good.
Ooh, I thought maybe Gaethje Fiziev.
That's fun too. That's a lot of fun. I mean, 55 is crazy. You could do any of that stuff. And by the way, Gamrot, I want to see fight Damir Ismagulov.
That's a great one.
That's the fight I want to see.
Didn't they just book him for something? They
might have. They might have. I was looking at the rankings, before we came on it, and I remember seeing that. I'll look it up.
I feel like they just booked Damir Ismagulov for something, but I could be wrong.
Let's see. Is it on here? Come on, UFC. I don't see it.
Upcoming bout against Armin Sarukian, December 17th.
Ooh, that's fun.
That's a good one.
That's a good one too. I got no problem with that one.
Really good fight. Yeah, I agree. We're splitting hairs. There's so many good fights they can make there, but I mean, I feel like Dariush Oliveira is in play.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It all depends timetables, injuries, locations, all that stuff that we not really privy to.
Right. Exactly.
All right, I don't want to spend the whole hour on 280, so I kind of springing this on you guys, but we had other stuff to talk about. I have a little list here that will go them, but I don't want to. Anything else you want to talk about for 280? We'll kind of do a miscellaneous section here. I'll kind of go first to give you guys some time to think about it. Just kind of quick hits, rest of the card. For me, it was Post-Makhachev may not be as good as I thought he was. A little bit concerning, the trouble he was in against Malcolm Gordon, or maybe it's just the thing he was growing up. I still think he's good. I think, but I do, like a lot of people, I have a little bit of pause there. Volkan Ozdemir is the exact same fighter he was when he started in the UFC, which is concerning. I lost a bet on him. No evolution whatsoever. Really, really concerning. And the last thing, the stoppage, Brady and Muhammad. Don't love it. Don't hate it. Standing stoppages. Should be more of them. That one, I think if the clapper goes off, the referee will let him try and survive, but he stopped it just before he heard the clapper. I think it was like 4:47 or something. What is it? What's the exact time? 4:47. I don't know. I when I initially saw it, I hated it, and he was eating shots and not returning them. It's fine. It hurt me on DraftKings, so maybe I'm a little bit biased there, but I wanted to see round 3. Everyone's kind of assuming I want to see, and Bilal just that pressure, man, it breaks people. So he's one. He's a dark horse at 170 for sure. I still don't think he beats Leon, like at all. Mike, what do you got? 280 wrap up.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bilal Muhammad might be the person with the least impressive fights to get a title shot in UFC history, but
he keeps winning.
He just keeps winning, and he's really good at being better than you at what you're bad at. So if he's fighting a striker, he'll wrestle. If he's fighting a wrestler, he'll keep it standing, and he's really good at it. And it most time makes for a boring fight, but this was actually a good one. I didn't hate the stoppage just because Brady wasn't throwing back. If he was throwing back anything, I don't think it gets stopped, but he ate about 15, 20 shots without returning fire. Nikita Krylov is one of the most talented fighters in that weight class, but he's also has one of the worst fight IQs. So he's tough to pick, but he could beat Glover or Jiri tomorrow if they made that matchup. He almost beat Glover once.
Really?
It was close enough. And it was Glover 3 years ago.
Glover's rounded into form late in his career,
Yeah.
I feel like he had some close calls, some interesting fights prior to where he's gotten to now.
Yeah.
So,
but he's
interesting.
But Krylov also jumps into Paul Craig triangles. But yeah, that was my takeaways. And you're right on Makhachev. I think it was a learning experience, but it was a bad look.
I would say Bilal Muhammad, Sean Brady to me was one I was like, that one had my heart pumping out of my chest. I was really excited just as a fan to see how that was going to play out because it was very difficult and the market suggested that to project how it would go. And much was made about the surgery that Sean Brady had to like open up his nasal passages. I'm going to sound like an idiot trying to talk about this, but Sean Brady looked to me like he still had the same, like he couldn't deal with Bilal's pressure, and that was the story in the fight. Eventually it broke him. And, so we keep underrating Bilal Muhammad, but like the intangibles with him are pretty strong. And I think he deserves some respect. He made a fan out of me, man. I had quite a bit of him in tournaments, but it amounted to nothing, as you know. And then ultimately, I just think Makhachev is young, so I'm giving him a chance here to develop a little bit before I make judgments on him. He eventually got the finish. He eventually looked the way we thought he would. And the struggle with Gordon was a surprise, but Gordon's more of a vet, and, there was something to expose there. Should the kid just be not ready for the moment on a consistent basis. And overall, there were a couple fights like I can't get that time, but like I was looking forward to Manon Fiorot and Chukagian as a fan, and like that fight sucked. So, no
surprise. That's what Chuk does.
Overall, it was fun. It was fun, but as I think back on it, I'll think back on it somewhat negatively from what happened with the Dillashaw Aljo fight, and just like being robbed of a good, enjoyable experience there. So,
yep, for sure. All right, let's get off of UFC 280. We won't go to the next card quite yet. That's the other thing that's floating around. What are you guys' thoughts? Let's start with RBCues for this one. I won't even give any other opinion. I won't give my opinion. I'm just going to start with the topic. Dana White's Power Slap League gets approved by the Nevada State Athletic Commission.
Give this one to Mike. Give this one to Mike first. I probably don't have as much as a fun take as Mike.
Yeah. I don't have a fun take. I won't be watching it, but I have to say, if I'm in Vegas for a bachelor party and there's some slap fighting going down, I might show up for it, but I'm not going to be watching it. I'll probably watch the first one. Let's not lie, especially if we can bet on it.
This is something like I'd rather watch on YouTube, just joking and like make funny videos about, than actually be concerned with. Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
There's a market for that in this world.
All the time.
There's a market for that in this world. Like people will tune into it. Have you guys actually watched it seriously? Like
seriously, no. I kind of like Mike. I would go if it's like there. I also will say I won't watch it live, but hey, there's a slap. I stay up late at my night owl. I'll be like, oh, there was a slap event tonight. Let me go watch the highlights of guys just getting smacked in the face and knocked out. I mean, I like violence, clearly. Like, I'll watch the quick highlights of, giant dude knocking out other giant dude for no reason.
It's just so limited in what it can. You can't do anything but whack someone in the face, and like, how does that not get old after a while? After some laughs, like,
I don't know.
Does that become novel every time out? Like, you just can't wait to see it again. Like, it's so different.
It's kind of like Coyote and Roadrunner. Like, it's kind of like, here we go. But it's, you know what? Those people who don't like grappling, I'm just going to yell at them to go watch the Power Slap League. That was how I was tying the two together. Oh,
will there be
like a single leg?
Will there be any crossover from like UFC into Power Slap? You get like some fighters that are washed up and they want to try their hand at the slap league.
Look,
Derek Lewis is doing
it. I feel bad because he's a really nice guy and he's still fighting in Bellator. Part of me wants to see Sal Malvey in the slap league to see if he'll smile after people slap him.
He's just giving that face, like he gets cracked and he's just like with the teeth just like.
All right, we'll go. So did you guys hear, and it was a slip, and I haven't heard this mentioned anywhere else, and it was somewhere during the broadcast, and I have to go back and listen to it, and it's just an off-the-cuff thing that just pops in my head, no planning, but at some point during 280, DC said, they don't, or something to the effect of they don't want us breaking down, doing technical stuff. They didn't want him talking about techniques. Anybody catch that? It was like an off-the-hand thing DC said. Like, he was starting to break it down. He goes, they don't want us to talk about technique. Like, people, it was, I have to go and find it. I have to rewatch the whole event. But it was one of the prelim fights. And all I could think is it's people hating on Dominic Cruz and how he has the technical type of breakdown. And it just, it almost seemed like DC was throwing some shade at it. Not him, but like people told them, the commentators, DC, Felder, to not go so heavy in technique, maybe because it was 280. But, to just it seemed like something that was being. It was weird. Like he got a note from somewhere, and I haven't seen it anywhere else. It was like an off the cuff thing. Nobody else caught that.
I wonder, is he doing that to excuse himself from being accused of not taping these fighters? And because if that were true, why would they bring in Felder over Rogan? Rogan doesn't comment.
Well, wasn't it? It's because of an international card. I think Rogan's touring. I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. So you're saying it was more that he wasn't available. I mean, that makes a lot more sense.
I think so. That's fine. Yeah. And it's weird because DC has the what's the name of that show he does on ESPN, the quick
with Ryan Clark?
No, that we've been pumped to death. I know what the hell that show's called. It was like Spotlight.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called.
Yeah, where he like does the whole technique thing. I don't know. So nobody else caught that. That's a waste of 2 minutes of the show. I remember hearing that.
I kind of agree with it though, for like the pay-per-view fights, because a lot of times there's less hardcore fans and more casuals watching it. But especially on the prelims, like, tell me about what's happening with this armbar that's in. Like, be as technical as you want with those fights, because the only people watching these ESPN Plus prelims are guys like us. Like, there's not just some random guy who's stumbling upon it.
People hate on Cruz. Cruz, to me, is far better than Rogan. Like, I like Rogan for nostalgia. I like Cruz. Like, I get something different. I want them to rotate those guys. I like Felder, Bisping. I don't actually dislike any of them. I think they got a really good broadcasting crew. I want them to keep rotating it, and I don't dislike Cruz. Felder's the best, though. Felder is, for me, number one.
Other than the obvious that Rogan has a fan base or whatever, like, I would be okay if they never brought him back and just rotated Bisping, Cruz, and Felder. Like, as a fight fan, I really enjoy that. I wouldn't miss Rogan at all. I wouldn't miss those. Oh, he's hurt bad, when he's like nowhere near to even like close to being like.
DC does that with submissions. Oh, it's close. Oh, it's tight.
Oh, it's tight. It's tight.
Like, oh, there's no sub there. It's fine. Don't worry about it, DC. These
guys are great. They're so good at their jobs, and it would be so hard for me to ever do anything close to that. But that said, as a fan, like, I am kind of over Rogan and what he brings to those shows. Personally.
I don't want to see. We got to stop putting DC and Bisping together, because they're like two frat guys. Like, hey buddy, yeah, you're fat, you're stupid. Like, I don't need to hear this.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Next topic. You guys see Bobby Green got released from the UFC. Popped hot. Of all people to pop hot, didn't think it was going to be Bobby Green, but I'm going to miss him. Hopefully he gets paid. I think he's going to PFL. I think I saw. I have to see if that's official. I think I just saw he got released, and that was the rumor. I don't think that's official yet. Oh, Mike just dropped. I think that was by accident.
So that was like originally stated. I think it was debunked that he would not be back. I think he will be back with the UFC.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
He just got released because he popped hot.
The reason Green was removed from the ranked voting system was his recent USADA suspension. And it initially was looking at a 2-year suspension, but knocked it down to 6 months because he bought it on the counter, et cetera. So
Thank you. See? You are more up to date than I am. I just saw Bobby Green released from his UFC contract. I guess if you go from 2 years to 6 months, they'll stick you around. They were honestly, Bobby. I bet if it was 2 years, they were doing him a favor. Like, listen, go make your money someplace else. He's been around long enough where Dana's okay with guys like that. Like, if you paid your dues, he'll help you out. He's an overall dick, but I feel like the guys Dana knows for a long time, he'll hook up.
I agree.
Yeah, especially guys like Green who step into fights on 2 weeks' notice.
And who are fun. Bobby Green's fun to watch, man. I mean, and like with dropping the hands real low sometimes and fighting like a dumbass, like yet still beating the crap out of you.
Plus, he's got 68 kids to feed. Poor guy fight.
Him versus Charles Oliveira. Not Charles Oliveira.
Islam Makhachev. That was
Alex Oliveira. That's the next matchup. Battle for the kids.
Go fight Islam. Okay, sure. How much are you gonna pay me? Did you guys see this story? Jiri Prohaska sits in a pitch black dark room with no food for 3 days to battle his demons. Can we just all admit he's crazy? Like, what?
Yeah.
What? I read that headline and I was like, I don't even know. He's clinically insane. Not that most fighters aren't, but I mean, when's the last time you guys went 3 hours without food?
Not often.
He's just a strange guy. He's an eclectic guy, and nothing he says to that effect or about his training when asked would really surprise me. Just look at his overall aesthetics and presentation, and I actually really enjoy watching Jiri, and this next fight coming up, man. I mean, I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it.
We can do quick. Who do you guys have? Jiri Glover too. Who you got?
Man, I was with Jiri for one, and I'm hoping he's locking himself in a dark room. He's better this time because he needs to get better because he did not look great last time. He was about to lose that fight.
I'm with you, but I'm also fervently, I've said it many times. I said it even this week when we were talking about rematches. Rematches in the UFC, the first fight, it means something, but it's not this. That doesn't mean how this fight 2 is going to play out. Alex Oliveira, Tim Means, 1 and 2. Way different fights. Sterling and Jan, 1 and 2. Way different fights. I like Jiri. And Glover just keeps getting older. Time is undefeated. Look at TJ Dillashaw. Just keeps every 6 months, I feel like, is 3 years, and Glover Teixeira fight years. It's just, I don't know. I got Jiri. How about you, RB?
I think sometimes I would be guilty of letting the result of the first fight dictate how I feel about the second fight. But as I look back at that first fight, Glover had it won and pulled that awful. He pulled guard and went. It was just like the dumbest move ever, and I think he had the fight won. And then I would have picked Jiri because I would have suggested, well, Father Time catches up to Glover, and Jiri figures it out this time. And I still think, I still think that that's most likely what will happen should they meet again. I can't project Glover to make improvements and come away with it. I think Jiri showed he's really capable on the mat, and that's what we all thought was his weak spot. I actually would have a Jiri by KO in the second fight. I think he'll clip him.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And move this over here. Stall first. If you're watching on YouTube, you will see what I'm about to share. Otherwise, sorry. So I'm also trying to write down timestamps at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did you guys see this next video? Let me pull it up here. Where are we? There we are. For those of you who don't know, this is Merab Dvalishvili, and a 6'4" female pickup. I mean, you kind of get the idea. And the longer this goes, the longer I kept thinking this is the start of some weird softcore porn somewhere. Like, he takes her down, and that's where in the porn he jumps on her, and it gets real weird.
So how tall is she?
6'4".
He looked like half her size.
He's not tall. Well, she's also fighting style. She's more upright, and he's actually in kind of a slightly more crouched position. But yeah, it was 6'4" kickboxer, Katarina Kavaleva, and yeah, it was. I don't know. Did anybody else? All I kept thinking was awful, dirty things because I'm a horrible human being.
It was weird to watch. I won't lie. I saw it. It was weird, and the fact that it felt like it just kept going and it wasn't going to end. I'm happy you shut it off after 20 seconds.
All I wanted to do was jump in her guard because I wanted to see her reaction. It probably would have got weird and your team would have came flying in, but I was like, when he took her down, like, jump in her guard. Please jump in her guard. Please jump in. He didn't, though.
Yeah, he really felt like he had to go back to the drawing board after, like, not that impressive of a performance against Aldo. I don't know what's next for him, by the way.
So that was kind of also the lead in. If he's not gonna fight Aljo, which he's made pretty clear, what is he gonna do? I don't think he can make 125. Is featherweight so shallow or so beat up because Volk has run through it? How many fights does he need at 45 to get a title shot? Not that I think he stands a chance because I think he's too small. But how many fights could he get one right opponent? Could he get Ortega's
Ortega? Yeah.
But could he fight Ortega and say he fights Ortega, doesn't get submitted? Although, if you're getting put out by Ricky Simone. But let's just say, argument's sake, is there one fight he could take at 45 and get a title shot? Because he's not going to fight for the 35 belt, he said. Nothing?
Or does he just stay at 135 and fight TJ and O'Malley, or
I think that's
whoever's ready.
more likely, isn't it?
He probably fights TJ if TJ's right. TJ, you can do the whole fight his teammate thing. It wasn't right to fight Aljo, but I'll kick your friend's ass when I'm healthy. All that. But that's still Merab's going to be on. TJ's going to be on the shelf for a little bit. I don't know. And what's Marlon Vera next? Does Marlon Vera have a fight booked?
I don't think so, which is why he keeps coming up for me. I'm like, what's the right fight to make for him? Is he?
He probably just gets a shot.
Yeah, I feel like don't they give it to him versus Aljo?
Yeah, I think.
And I saw Aljo call him out on Twitter today, by the way.
You know what we could do? Yeah, you know what? Aljo, Vera, Merab, O'Malley.
Oh my God! Now you're man. If that goes Merab's way, you're really feeding O'Malley to the wolves, aren't you? I mean, I didn't learn anything about O'Malley from a wrestling perspective. Well, I guess I did. I guess that's not fair. He got up a few times and whatever. And Jan's not like some dominant wrestler, but I mean, Merab was almost finished by like a half dead Marlon Moraes. So like,
yeah, you know what though? I think that makes sense because if O'Malley wins that fight, you can give him the next shot. You can give him Aljo.
Yeah, and he hasn't earned a title shot, O'Malley. We all agree on that,
no,
right?
But I think if he beats Merab, I think you give it to him.
Maybe so. Yeah. I could see O'Malley knocking out Merab, man. It's not that crazy to me after some of the stuff I've seen him go through.
Well, Merab's got to beat a frozen lake first.
Yeah.
I love that video. I had that saved somewhere. Just dumbass. All right, I think we've done a bunch of the peripheral stuff. Let's talk about what we have coming up. We had 2 fights be canceled for the upcoming card, Vegas 63. Our main events, Kattar and Allen. I guess the canceled fights, we had Jakar Close, Mark Madsen fell out, close ACL injury. I don't know what the other recent one is, though. It's funny. Clayton Rodriguez was supposed to fight Vinicius Salvador, and that fell off because Salvador withdrew. And then we had Cody Turden, Clayton Rodriguez, and then Rodriguez withdraws. I think anything together.
Is Madsen's fighting Grant Dawson now, though, right? Or is that off?
Did that get added here?
It's rescheduled for the 5th of November. Never mind.
That was rescheduled. It's like it's because it's supposed to be initially in this card. I don't know how long ago this was. But an Ilya Taporia, Barboza knee injury knocks him out of that. Which Taporia's angling for the Bryce Mitchell fight, which signed me up for. Bryce Mitchell is so cringy, and it's not even. I feel like these guys are doing it intentionally, like flat Earth debate or whatever the hell else. Bryce Mitchell's doing. But
did you guys see Sean O'Malley today watching Bryce Mitchell critique him? And I guess maybe this clip came out before he fought Jan, but he watched a full clip of Bryce Mitchell talking, and he was like, "Well, your dad slept with your cousin to make you."
I don't realize that is money. Like his troll, for whatever reason, I find his troll. Not that I'm into it. I'm sick of all those dumb. I don't know. I sound like an old grumpy curmudgeon. I'm sick of this. Don't like this. But I don't know, the videos where he's smoking on the barbell or all that's like. I know what he's doing. But to me, while it's cringy, it's less annoying than the Bryce Mitchell stuff or the Aljamain Sterling at a microphone. It's just
Bryce is a flat
earther. More self-aware.
Bryce is a flat earther.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he challenged Joe Rogan to a flat Earth debate.
Yeah,
but he's not. He just regurgitates every flat Earth point you've ever heard. Like it's no. He just memorized a bunch of stuff.
I mean, do you think he's going to come up with his own flat Earth points? I don't think Bryce Mitchell has an original thought in his head. I think he's just out here tearing his scrotum apart.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe he got enough pain
and just going for it.
That he was having some crazy trips and he come up with something new, but apparently not.
Yeah.
Man, we went from Vegas 63 to Bryce Mitchell scrotum real quick.
Well, that's how bad Kattar versus Allen is.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the card. I'm interested for Kattar versus Allen. I mean, now this is where we get into weird positions, guys. We usually do break down fights, and some of our stuff is behind a paywall. But I'm going to do a main event breakdown anyway. So how do we? We didn't talk about this beforehand. How do we navigate this? I think we're safe to talk about the main event. And it is not. We won't talk DFS salaries or any of that stuff. Kattar Allen, to me, I think it's. I don't know. Everyone's up on Allen. I think Kattar's. I don't understand the disrespect Kattar's getting. I know he's the favorite, but I've seen a lot of people bet Allen. I kind of think Kattar wins this fight. He keeps him off him and boxes him up on the outside. Is Allen live? Sure, but I don't know. I've seen more people than I thought bet Allen. Kattar's striking is like it's scary, and people seem to forget that. I think they're going to be reminded. I think we got some recency bias from he's lost 2 or 3, but is Arnold Allen, Max Holloway, or Josh Emmett? No, it's a different type of matchup. He's going to want to grapple. I think this goes more the way of the Dan Ige fight. So for me, I'm on Allen. I'm on Kattar for that reason. Mike, how do you have this?
I think I'm going to be on Kattar. It's a huge step up in competition for Allen. I know he's fought Yusuf and Dan Hooker, but man, Dan Hooker has looked horrible lately. So I don't know how much we can take out of that. I'll be back in Kattar, but we'll see. I mean, Kattar opened it as a big favorite, or not big favorite, but he opened as a bigger favorite, and a lot of money's coming out on Allen so far. So we'll see what happens.
I think it was Dan Levy. I'm sorry, Dan. And I talked to you too. Like, your name screws me up. I think I saw him. He posts his bet for free on Twitter now. I think I saw his bet was like Allen was plus 110. Like, it wasn't a crazy number. I remember thinking, that's the number. I don't despise it.
Even money. It's even money now.
Yeah.
Man, if that number flips to Kattar plus money, I'll probably take it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just going to say that. And what do we make of the Josh Emmett fight? Because a lot of people thought Kattar won that fight too.
Yep.
I did. That was another razor thin decision. I just wasn't impressed by Kattar in that fight. Like, I remember being frustrated.
It was wrong decision, not robbery.
Yeah. I kind of felt that he just didn't put on a great showing.
Didn't he get his nose broken really early in the fight? I have to go rewatch it before I make it. Like, I think Kattar was hurt bad early and was kind of compromised most of the way, and still, I think, almost won the fight.
So if that's true,
I have to watch. That's what I remember.
If that's true, we have to discount what we watched versus Emmett and think back to how. I mean, he beat the crap out of Giga. He looked phenomenal. He looked career best.
Giga's overrated. I was yelling that forever. I take nothing from that fight.
I agree. I mean, I just Arnold Allen is someone I underestimate. Arnold Allen, I've been giving the Bilal treatment, and And then going into last fight, I was of the mind that, well, he won't finish anybody, he can't finish Dan Hooker, et cetera, et cetera. He went out there, kicked the crap out of him. And I know much has been made about Hooker and his weight going into the fight, et cetera, and like kind of his state of mind. But Arnold Allen looked really, really good. I'm going to wait to see how the line shakes out before I do anything there. Like, I don't feel super confident. I do want to rewatch, to your point, I do want to rewatch that Kattar Emmett fight to get kind of a grasp on it, because when just thinking about it, like really quickly, I just remember being unimpressed by Kattar and feeling let down relative to the Giga performance and wondering what the hell happened here. He should have won that fight going away, I thought. And I know he respected Emmett's power. That could have maybe represented his hesitance during the fight, but I don't know.
It was a weird. I don't know. I have to go rewatch it. Although I remember it was a fun fight to watch. So I'm looking forward to watching it. I don't remember for sure how badly Kattar was hurt, but I thought his nose got broken in the first round. That's all I had on my list here of things to talk about. Last thing, because we got a couple minutes. What are you guys' thoughts on the start time of the UFC 280 card? Like, dislike? I know the people in the UK and Europe love the earlier time going. I don't, because I have a family and I have other commitments and I couldn't watch. Like, I'm like, shit. What am I doing? I can't. I got to go take care of that. And I watch the fights. Afterwards. I mean, I caught the end of the main. It was at Dave and Buster's, but I wasn't like at a bar. I was with my daughter trying to get enough tickets to win a fucking stuffed Pikachu, which is a whole other story.
So I was also watching the fights at a Dave and Buster's, but without my kids. They were home. But I like the early start time because, this one worked out for me because I didn't have to drag the kids anywhere, so I got to stay home and watch it and then go out and watch the fights with some people. I like it. Gets it over early. It's better than being up till 1:30 in the morning for it and having to drive home. That being said,
at least we're not in Britain where those, 1:30 for us is 7:30 for them. Can you imagine that? Yeah. I don't think I could do it.
I wouldn't be able to.
I'm a hardcore fan, but I just, and people in the UK, if you're watching this, going, you're not a hardcore fan, then fuck you. Fine, fuck me. I'd watch the fights the next day and you can make fun of me. It'd be hard, though. What about you, RB? You got enough? You have enough? Like, what do you do at night? What do you do Saturday night?
I don't have kids yet. And so, again, I think perspective matters. I just got married and kids are probably in the future, but they're not here yet. And so my least favorite part of a Saturday is the gap between waking up and the fight starting and thinking and rethinking, did I do enough? Did I hedge enough? Are my lineups correct? And, and all that stuff. Like, I hate waiting that out. So to wake up and have fights at 10:30, like, was heaven to me. That was paradise. I was so pumped. And then I could salvage a Saturday night, go do whatever. I mean, inject it.
Let's talk in a few years, bud. Let's have a whole different conversation where your son or daughter's poking you at 7 o'clock. Need breakfast. Oh, fuck, do you? Get a granola bar.
My son or daughter is going to be watching early prelims with me. That's how it's going to shake out. So
I kept her away from, because it is violent. But so I'm walking around most of the day in the morning, but it's on my phone. Because I'm glancing over, and I'm making her something. I think it was like lunchtime, and I put the phone on the counter. She comes up. She goes, "What's that game?" I'm like, shit. Just a fighting game. She goes, "Oh yeah, like Lego something. They shouldn't be hitting each other. They're just punching each other, right?" I'm like, "Yes, just a game. They're just playing a game." Oh boy. So fast forward to Dave and Buster. She points up at the TV, and my wife's right next to me, and she goes, "Look, Daddy, it's that punching game that was on your phone."
That's right.
And my wife knows what I'm doing. She wasn't mad, but I'm like, well, you know what? It's here too, so it's fine.
So, my son, he's 6. He likes it. He was supposed to start jiu-jitsu last Monday, but something came up, so he couldn't, though. He's going to be starting it in November, I think. So he's ready to roll. He's ready to take some backs.
I gotta teach my daughter how to break some arms when somebody touches her. She doesn't want. This is how you break their shit off, honey.
My daughter goes to school with Matt Serra's kids, so I gotta just get her in with them so that they can watch her back.
That's the move. I like that. That is the move. All right, guys. I think this was fun. I had a lot of fun Sunday night chopping it up with you guys. Hope I don't know what the format is. It's going to be regularly. If you guys want to come on every week, 3 of us, great. Otherwise, I'm going to do it at least every week. And as you guys are available, we'll figure it out. I'll get hopefully some other people on. I haven't talked to anybody, but I know Sun Tzu will jump on. Some other guys I can guilt into chopping up on a Sunday night. So anything else before we get out of here? Anything? If you want to plug anything, go for it. Otherwise, last words. Mike, we'll start with you.
No, just follow me on Twitter, Consortium DFS. Anyone has any questions or wants to tell me how ugly I am, feel free.
And make sure you tell him how good looking he is. Yeah, go with that. RB?
You guys can find me on Twitter at RBCues. I love talking about fights, so hit me up and it doesn't matter the fight. I'll talk about it down to the worst of the early prelims.
Including slap fights.
Yeah, I'll get there, maybe.
I can't. Fast forward a year. I can't wait for you to be minus 200 is great value on this great slap fight.
If DK brings slap fights to its formatting, then sign me up. And the only thought I'll say is it's great to be on here, and I think this will be a fun experience. And talking about the stuff that matters in our favorite sport. Sign me up.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Last time, I promise I won't do plugs like this every week, but we're just starting out. Like the video, subscribe everywhere. Any support we get, appreciate it. Might take a little while, but either way, I'm up on a Sunday anyway, so this was a lot of fun. So see you guys next time in the Shadow Realm.